and we'll see how it goes.
Sounds
So,
good. Sounds good.
okay, so we need some time, some time, okay.
Well,
And
there's a lag, right?
yes, so
Yes, there always is. Yeah.
it is always there. So
Hmm.
yeah, okay, hold on a sec. So we'll need to do some checks. Um, okay, yes, we are there. So yeah, hello to everyone who's online. And basically, if you're watching or will listen then after it, also hello, hi, hi. Alistair can say hi as well. I think that people can hear you.
Can I? All right, good. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for coming today. And thank you,
Yeah.
Alina, for the invitation.
So I will tell you how it works and what we are going to do. So first of all, this is a very first episode of ELT SOFA, which was like basically which I decided yes to say. So it's a place where I will sit down with ELT specialists or teacher trainers and people who are passionate about teaching languages, or probably people who work in or run teaching related businesses to talk, share experiences, and learn from each other. So when I thought about who is going to be my special and first guest, the answer was very instant. So first
Oh,
of
good.
all, yeah, he is a top-notch teacher trainer, a real pro in Delta world, and most importantly, this is my Delta tutor and Delta trainer, ALASTAIR Grant. So thank you, Alistair, for joining. This is real pleasure for me that you have agreed. I know your schedule is very, very tough. So it's very, very difficult to catch you. Um,
It's great.
yes. So can you just briefly tell us about your Delta journey, your personal Delta journey? Maybe you can
Oh,
remember your, I don't know.
yes. I want to reach back into my memory. Yes, I definitely can. It actually started. How much time do you want me to talk for? Because I could talk for an hour about this. No, I'm
That's
joking.
okay. Take
Um,
time.
um, it actually started when I did the CELTA in International House London back in 2006. It was when I did CELTA in London, and we were told it was about halfway through the course. This is before Delta became modular, actually. About halfway through the course, we were told one day, okay, the Delta students are doing their exam this week. So there's going to be signs up in different corridors saying that you've got to be quiet. And I remember for a week, all the CELTA candidates were like tiptoeing around the building because we didn't want to disturb the Delta students. And I remember we would say to each other, "What's Delta?" It was sort of said in hushed tones. What is Delta? And then the final session of CELTA, as I think they still do on CELTA, is like a professional development session where they talk about the future. And one of the first things they said is, well, maybe a little while from now, you can do the Cambridge Delta. And they explained what it was. And it's a diploma teaching program, which is recognized internationally as being on the same level as a master's, although it wasn't at the time. It hadn't been officially recognized then. I think it was 2011 or 2014 when it got recognized as being on the same level as a master's degree by the European Union. So then after that, I moved to Argentina. I had been teaching for a few years, and I really was enjoying it very, very much. But I remember going for a walk with my director at the time, a director of International House in northern Buenos Aires, in San Isidro. And she said, "So, how do you feel like you're getting on with everything?" And I said, "No, it's going great. I'm enjoying it, etc. But I feel like there's something missing, and I don't know what it is exactly."
Ouch. I think we lost the connection, but we'll try to restore it. Oh, okay. So still, we need some time, tech issues of live stream coming out. So let's wait a bit. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we're here.
I don't know which end that was, or it was both of our ends. I don't know. No idea.
That's okay. No worries. It's live stream, so it happens.
It happens.
The
Okay.
people are doing it, so no worries.
Okay, so I think I got as far as no. Just to sort of cut it brief for now. Had a conversation with my director at the time and told her that I was enjoying teaching very much, but I felt like something was missing. And she said, "Have you thought about Delta?" And that was it, really. But I mean, I thought at the time, like, why do I want to do this? I mean, it sounds like an awful lot of work. You know what? I had just done the International House CAM, the Certificate in Advanced Methodology, which was heavy, and I loved it. And sometimes it's kind of marketed as an intermediary course between CELTA and Delta, and I don't think it should be. I've actually spoken to Sean about this. I'm not sure he agrees with me, but it really is a standalone course. It's brilliant in its own right. But anyway, I'd done that, and it was a lot of work. And I thought, oh God, maybe I don't really want to do this. And never looked back, honestly, Alina. It was such, you know what it did? I remember one of my tutors at the time, the brilliant Helen Finity, saying, any initial teaching qualification gets you into the classroom. It tells you what to do in class, and Delta tells you why you're doing it. And it was that. It was so good because it just gave me, I was like, okay, this is why I'm doing it, and this is why I enjoy it, and this is how I can develop myself as a teacher, which might sound like a really, I don't know, how can I put this, cliched thing to say, hey, I want to develop as a teacher. But it really just doing Delta made me feel like any good professional development.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with this, Serena. I think any good professional development shouldn't just be, okay, we're training you because, that's the next step in your job, in your career, in your education. But like, it really should make you want to do it more. It should inspire you. So yeah, and that's what happened with Delta. That's what happened with me and Delta, definitely.
Kind of the milestone which we achieve, and then, okay, we're very happy about it, so yeah. So, and now we are pros. So this is the coolest thing, I think. Okay, so if you have people any questions, so feel free to drop them in the chat, and we are going to answer them as well. And I hope that tech issues will basically remove soon. But anyway, so if you have any questions about Delta, about ELT, about teaching, or anything you want to ask, so please drop them in the chat, and we are going to speak about them a bit later. And
I'm back.
Yeah, that's okay. No worries. I manage it, so no worries. So basically, today we are not going to cover like usual basics that you can find in Google or read in forums, because everybody can do that. So instead, we are going to dig into a real stuff and the stories, the facts, kind of insights, which
Good idea.
you can only hear from someone who's been in the Delta world for years. So, for example, Alastair, I think I've already told you that my Delta Module 1, I was self-prepared for this module.
Yes, yeah.
I failed my first one, so yeah, shame on me, but I failed. Or maybe not shame on me.
Can I just say something now that you said that? Because this is something I'm really trying to work with my students at school, as well as my Delta candidates, that idea of shame on me. Because, and by the way, what I'm going to say isn't really a reflection on you. It's more like I'm just taking the advantage of the fact that you've just said that, because I really want to say something about that, because I think there's so much emphasis on passing and failing, that as in emphasis on passing, and if you don't pass, then you didn't pass, and that's it. And I just really don't think it's taken into account enough how much you learn during the process. It's as though if one doesn't pass, I don't know, the first certificate or something, it's like all the work that's gone before was essentially valueless. That's how people tend to see it. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be like, right, I've learned this much. in that process, and therefore I'm going to use that to my advantage by doing either something else or doing it again. I didn't pass module 3 the first time I did it, and I was so annoyed with myself. I was
didn't
so
know
annoyed
that.
with myself, and just like, no, I didn't want to tell you that. No, and I didn't. And it was just like I'd submitted and I got what they call referred, which is, it's not a fail, it's there are things that need tidying up. But I was so annoyed with myself because I'd done really well in module 2, and I thought, right, well, this is going to be a walk in the park. And it really wasn't anything of the sort. But I remember speaking to my tutor and him saying, well, you know, we can resubmit to Cambridge, we can get a report to see what was wrong. Because this is one of the good things about module 3. You can do that. You can't with module 1, but you can with module 3. And they said, you know, what it was that needed tidying up. And I did it, and I worked, like, overworked on it. And then I got a distinction in the end. So I was really happy about that. And you know what? The funny thing is, I suppose for obvious reasons, maybe I don't really need to say it, but I'm going to anyway. I'm really happy that I didn't pass the first time. I'm happy about that, because otherwise I wouldn't have had that experience of making something much better than it had been. And I wouldn't have learned so much that I did during that process. And now that I'm tutoring module 3 myself, I use all of that experience that I've got for this. And if I had passed the first time, then maybe I wouldn't have had that. So I genuinely feel I learned more through not having passed the first time.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it needs to be seen. I'm sorry, I just totally hijacked
No
what you were
worries.
talking about.
I think people like to, hearing this, because I failed my part 1 and my module 1, and so if I had passed probably the first time, I don't know, I wouldn't have been so motivated to do it the second time. So I was
right.
So this was something which I needed.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about self-study and a structured course. So there is a question which everybody asks in the forums and everywhere, but there is no specific answer. So the question is, from what you've seen, is self-study or a structured course the stronger route to pass an MI? So what is the best way? Still self-study or to take a course
So
for
when
one?
Okay, for module 1 you're talking about specifically,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know that you did self-study, and I know it was all good in the end, etc. In a way, I'm going to have to ask you to be involved in your own question, because you know, you did pass with the ultimately, right? Well, no, and that's the other thing. It's like, that's what you're in it for. That's what you're in it for, because I remember, but I know how it feels. Sorry, just picking up on what you said, but I know how it feels. Like, I remember before my CELTA course started, sitting down in a coffee shop, like a few doors down from International House, London, a few doors down, and reading that you could get a pass, merit, and a distinction. And I thought, what? I just want to pass this thing. I mean, I didn't even know. But then, as the course went on, and my tutors were telling me, you know, you're doing quite well, I thought, ooh, maybe, you know, I could get a higher. Sorry, no, with CELTA, it's not. What am I talking about? It's pass and then a B or an A. Thank you. Yeah. And so I thought, oh, you know, maybe I want to aim for that. But if I had to do any of the modules again, and with my hand on my heart, especially module 1, I would take a course. The reason for that is, I mean, you know, you can tell me if you agree with this or not, because you did it the other way, as it were. It's like, there's such a specific way that Cambridge want you to answer the questions. And this is one of the frustrating things about module 1, especially for teachers who have a lot of experience, is, you know, I've done Delta 1 with teachers who teach other teachers at universities around South America, and it's been so frustrating for them. People who have masters in education, and it's been frustrating for them, because it's like I say to my candidates often on module 1, it sounds so weird, but Cambridge, in a way, that they're not interested in names, dates, and places, and and how much you know. It's not about that. It's about how you can apply the knowledge you've got to specific teaching situations, scenarios that they give you. I mean, I don't want to get like super boring and technical about this, but Irina, if you remember paper 2, task 1, about testing and assessment. Sorry, I'm going to give you some
Yeah,
flashbacks here.
it's my least favorite part. And this is
And
actually
it's
where I suppose I met you in first time in the Facebook, because you were commenting. Somebody asked about like
really
what books would you recommend to get ready
right.
for this part? And you wrote a comment, Baxter. Before that, kind of it was you know how we call people like basically like the books, basically Harmer or Scrivener or Thornbury, and this was it. So I didn't know anything else. And you wrote about Baxter. And it's like, who is this person? Okay, Baxter, I need to Google. And I read this book, and it was great. So honestly, Baxter saves life anyway. Hi, are you here? Or we're just, I think we've stuck. Okay, no worries. So that's completely okay. That's okay. Yeah. So this
This
is
is
how
going well. Yes.
this is
By
how
the
I,
way, I
yeah.
love your logo. Well, I don't know what was happening with the internet, but I just noticed your ELT sofa logo. It's really cool. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So I mean, Baxter saved my life when I was getting ready for this part. Is it your
Good.
favorite or the most favorite part? Your book.
Oh, right. Yes. Actually, it is, in a very geeky way. I can't believe I'm saying this. I love paper 2, task 1. Yeah, no, I really do. And I find it very, um, to the point in terms of what Cambridge are trying to do, is in they give you a scenario, a teaching scenario, and what you have to do is apply what you know to that, because it's about testing systems. And what you've got to do with paper 2, task 1 is you're given a test, you're given a scenario, and talk about UK. And can you hear me? Yes,
Yes.
you can. Okay. A student, I don't know. Well, anyway, I'll just carry on. For example, a student who's just arrived in the UK and they're a certain level, the teacher's using a certain test as a diagnostic test. And often Cambridge use their own tests in this part of the exam, which for good reasons, Cambridge think are pretty good. But it's not about that. It's not about the test in its own merits. It's about how you apply that in this situation. So is the first certificate listening part 2 good enough on its own as a diagnostic test of listening in a certain situation? And the answer is probably not, if there's only one part of the test as a diagnostic test, because that's the reason international exams have, several parts to a listening exam.
Okay.
What's
And what is
really boring about this? Go on.
That's okay. And what is your worst part? So basically not very favorite one, so which you hate completely. For me it was paper one, task one and two.
Really? That really
It's a
surprises me.
disaster. I mean, like, come on. I mean, I
That
didn't
really
know
surprises
so
me.
many, yes, so many parts there. No. It's actually yes. And paper one, task five. It's a
I'm.
long write, it's like, okay, bullet
It is.
points everywhere. So
I'm amazed, genuinely amazed, that you haven't mentioned paper 2.
no,
Task 2 or paper
that's
2, task 3. No, I mean, like I often tell my candidates, because paper 1, task 1, paper 1, task 2 are labeling tasks, essentially, and they're worth very few marks. So it's like, if you know it, great, congratulations, write your answer down and go. And then in paper 1, task 5, yeah, it is really important to have very strong language awareness for that, because you can pick up so many marks for that task.
yeah.
But for me, if you said, okay, you've got to do the module 1 exam again tomorrow, it would be paper 2, task 2, probably, about the course book
Oh,
analysis.
yes. Okay. I mean, I've never even thought that everything is so connected, like,
Yeah,
so basically, yeah. So this is what we had at Celta, but in Delta, it's like, Jesus Christ, so It's okay. We need to do the list.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Righty. So talking about module one, so I've prepared
Yes.
kind of like maze checks. So I found facts, or basic like maze, I can call them maze, um, which people wrote about Delta Module 1 in the internet. So for
Okay.
example, maze number one is that some candidates thinks that they can crack the Module 1 exam just by doing past papers until they spot patterns. Others say that a recipe for disaster. So you need to prove it or not. Can we actually pass by pattern spotting, or that approach fall apart in the exam room?
Yeah, what I really like about this myth that you've got here, this myth talks about the second part of that subtitle there. Does that approach fall apart in the exam room? I think it falls apart way before you get into the exam. There's a couple of parts to this. First of all, to a certain extent, I hope Cambridge Assessment would agree with me about this, that the Delta 1 exam is a proficiency test of English, a little bit like any of the main suite exams, they're proficiency tests. But so therefore, Cambridge themselves say, now whether we agree with this or not is another thing, you don't really have to practice for the test because that's not the point. However, I'm not saying they would say that about Module 1. I know that they have said that about the main suite exams. However, there are definitely patterns. But it depends which this is the other thing I want to say. It depends which patterns we're talking about. Are we talking about patterns in terms of the same type of questions, or are we talking about patterns in terms of the same type of answers? Because yes, it's true that you may well get paper 1, task 1, paper 1, task 2, repeated labeling options. For example, I'm sure I may be having that, what's it called, the Mandela effect memory about this, but I'm pretty sure that I've seen things like information gap as something you have to define more than once. I'm pretty sure about that. On the other hand, other tasks, they would never repeat something like paper 1, task 5, but what they might repeat are the structures, as in analyzing conditionals, analyzing passives. That, yes, you can do. Now, the flip side is the answers, because for many parts of the exam, well, is that true? To a certain extent, yes. I mean, certainly like bits of paper 2, task 2, there are answers that do come up time and again, because one of the sections is about assumptions about coursebook writing. And if you have to to analyze an exercise which has a picture in it, one of the assumptions could be that visual aids are useful because they're engaging or because it helps activate schemata or something like that. And that has come up quite a few times. However, cracking it just by doing that, your sort of phrasing there, no. Just by doing that, no. I mean, there are definitely patterns. In fact, one of the things that I constantly bore my candidates with, just as I did with you for Module 3, Irina, is look at the handbook. Because in the handbook for Module 1, apart from anything else, it's got the examiner's report. It's got an examiner's report or a version of it, which is probably one of the most useful documents. Yeah. This is a very long answer to your question, but the short answer is no, but there is a sort of hacking element to it, it's got to be said. And it is very useful to study the past papers, but not just doing them, I would say.
Yeah, okay. I completely agree. Yes. Handbook is the Bible, actually. So, I mean, like, it's the starts, when you just start doing your tasks, and then like mock exams or past papers, and you just keep going doing it. So, yeah, refer to handbook as well. Righty, and hold on. We will just go to tech issues again. Okay, so we have the second miss here, which I found as well. So you need to do module 1 straight after CELTA, or you will forget everything. So you need to prove it to not, is it actually the best time, or can waiting a bit sometimes give you a better sort of success. So my CELTA was in 2019, and my first Delta was in 2024. So I waited.
Right.
Why? What? Did I have to? I mean, like, I still don't get the message, because everyone does it like CELTA Delta, finish, coffee.
Delta finish. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a good idea to wait, but it's a good idea to wait in as much as it gives you experience, because some of the tasks are connected to experience. Paper 2 task 3 will put you in a classroom where you are given a situation. Like, you will be asked, is it a good idea, more or less, this is what I'm saying, is it a good idea for students to read out loud from a text in lesson time? What are the pros and cons of doing that? Essentially, that's what paper 2 task 3 is about. So you're not going to know that, really, unless you've got some experience of it. Now, okay, if you were an English language student yourself, you might remember how you felt being asked to do that, and the benefits and drawbacks of doing so. But my advice would be to definitely get a bit of experience under your belt. I mean, the bottom line as far as Cambridge are concerned is C1 level of English and a couple of years teaching experience. So I would say that would be a good idea. That said, and you probably found this yourself, you end up thinking a lot about CELTA while you're doing Delta, both in terms of the writing and the in-class practice like you do in module 2, and the questions that relate to that in module 1 as well, because one of the great things about CELTA is that you've got, I mean, it's no small thing. They're basically teaching how to teach a language lesson. And if you think about it, there's a lot of teaching courses that can take a very long time to get round to that part of things. And so just saying, okay, this is how you do a text-based language introduction, and all the different stages of it, like, schemata activation, et cetera, down to maybe a productive skill at the end. That is still, you're still thinking about that. Like I was saying, when you're doing paper 2 task 2 about the course book analysis, because a lot of course books follow the same pattern as you learn on CELTA. So it's, I feel like I'm selling CELTA now. But yeah, I would definitely say, I couldn't say how long, but definitely some experience I think would be a good idea. Some teaching experience would be a good idea.
Can CELTA be skipped, like overall, like no CELTA, just CELTA? This is also just
right.
Just,
yeah.
We'll ban this video probably, but still,
definitely.
But because the situation when, for example, when I hire teachers and they say like, why should I need CELTA to do CELTA? Because I can straightly go to Delta and forget this tab. So is it possible, or we need to do CELTA?
It is possible. The short answer to your question is it's possible. You don't have to get one before the other. And actually, a lot of people have written to me saying, oh, I know I can't do the Delta right now because I don't have the CELT, but I'm thinking that maybe in 5 years. And I've said to them, how many years teaching experience do you have? And they've said, I don't know, 3, 4, anything up to, whatever number it is. And I've said, well, you can do the Delta. Like, again, any kind of main suite exam, if you think of any of the Cambridge ones, the fact that you haven't done first certificate doesn't mean that you can't go straight to advanced. I'll put it to you like that. But for reasons I've given, CELTA is a very useful starting point, definitely. But yeah, it's not. The other thing is, you take them for different reasons. That's what I'd also say, Irina. I mean, I remember my director, who I mentioned earlier on, saying, and I agree with what she said, really. CELTA is a springboard to get you into the classroom. It teaches you what to do in the class. And I really agree with that. It is a springboard to get you into the classroom. It gets you in. The rest of it's up to you. You working things out and how you're going to do stuff and what works with certain students, that's up to you. And the reason it's up to you is because they're your students. But that's another conversation, really. But yeah, it's not necessary. It is useful, but again, you take them for different reasons. So that's my answer, Elena.
Okay, and just to wrap up the conversation about module 1, so if someone is thinking about it right now, or maybe is about to start their course with anyone basically in the world, what is the one piece of advice you would want them to remember?
About module 1, yes?
Yes, about module 1.
Right. Well, the one piece of advice. And sorry, just to recap on your question again, this is someone who's self-studying or doing a course?
Is there? Okay, so let's divide them basically, because
right.
this is a fun fact as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go for
self-study, go to courses, blah blah blah.
All right, yeah, let's do that. Good idea. So if they're self-studying, I would say examiner's report is a must, and it's on the Cambridge website, and you can download it, the 2015 one, because 2015 was the last time they changed the exam. It's the latest update was 10 years ago. Read it with coffee in the morning. Read it before you go to bed at night. It's so useful for you as a candidate. And because it also, not only does it give you answers to questions, but it also gives you previous candidates' answers. And the great thing about that is that you can see how Cambridge are expecting you to write. If you think about the main suite exams, Cambridge published, I don't actually have one here, do I? No. Cambridge published books of exam papers. And at the back of the exam paper books, you get previous candidates' writings. And it says, this one got a band 5 or whatever it was. It's the same with the examiner's report. And it's so useful because you look at it and you think, okay, firstly, that's the structure that I'm using if I'm doing this on my own. And secondly, this doesn't actually seem like it's impossible for me to do. So that's the key piece of advice. Those of you who are doing it with a center or with a tutor, I would say what I've already said, plus ask questions all the time. Your tutor, your center should be fully supporting you. And that means, these things are not cheap. They're expensive. Right. If you look at what is it? This, well, you just mentioned the Facebook group. It's what the Delta and Dip T-cell survivors group or something like that on Facebook it's called. There was a comment, I think just this morning, somebody saying, I'm thinking of doing module 2, but it's going to cost me something like £2,500.
And you commented as well, I
did comment. Yeah, do it. They got to do it. But I also suggested some alternative venues for them as well. Let's not mention names, but yes, which may. Yeah. Thing is, these are expensive courses. They are, and there's an element of. It's a controversial topic actually, but there's an element of I can't remember the terminology now exactly, but in terms of the way, the sort of, how can I put this? Who gets to do it, as it were? So because one pays a lot of money for this, it's really important on whichever course you're doing, whichever tutor you've got, to constantly ask questions of them. Yeah. About the topics and about the exam technique as well. Get your money's worth. Badger them.
Spam every morning. Write your tutor, hello, do you remember about me?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
this is what I
definitely.
did with you.
Yes,
I liked your post in Instagram or Facebook, like, hello, I'm still alive, just in case. Just
yes, it's important. Yeah.
And just, I'm attaching the site below which people can use. Can you just tell us what we can find there? Like maybe about some future courses dates if you have already.
Yes.
That something has started already.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, speaking of Delta, my Module 1 and Module 3 courses have just started. We've had only the first session for Module 3, because it's once a fortnight, and we've had the first 2 sessions for Module 1, because it's weekly, that one. Now, it's not, if anybody would like to join either of those 2 courses, it's certainly not impossible, so let me know. You'd need to do a bit of catching up, but it's certainly not impossible. The site, though, also, I mean, this is something that you and I have talked about a little bit, Irina. There's a new series of teacher training courses that I've just started called Bronze, Silver and Gold. And they are about, well, to give you an idea, the gold courses at the moment are Cambridge Delta 1 and Cambridge Delta 3. Silver courses are live online sessions, and bronze courses are asynchronous video sessions. And all of them come with some kind of assessment, very brief in terms of the silver and bronze ones. As you know, not very brief, Irina, in terms of the gold ones, and also a certificate as well. Whichever course anyone does, they will get a certificate of having completed the course.
Yeah, this is awesome.
That's in a nutshell, yeah.
This is great. So I have a team of tutors working with me, and I've told them about, like, basically half of them are from Latin countries, and I told them, you know what? I know ALASTAIR GRANT, and they're like, do you know what? We know him because he's like going to Buenos Aires and everywhere, and so they liked your workshops and conferences talks. So yeah, honestly, it's a piece of gold, something like really huge and nice. I like it. If we join to and go into like module 3, my memory about you, do you want to know it?
Yes.
So
Of course.
after I did my module 1 self prepared, so I said like, okay, probably I can nail it on my own with Delta module 3. So I was about, okay, I will just drop a message to the Facebook group, like if they know any center or probably like any books. And I wrote a message, and instantly I got your comment like, do you want to study it with me? Like, I have a course. And like, who is he? Like, why are we doing this right now? So then I wrote you a message, because literally I've seen like a lot of people also do this, and I didn't know that I could actually do it with a teacher trainer, like, like without the center.
Right, yes.
It was some like, wow, really? So okay, so I do remember what freelance is. Still,
Yes.
And then I've seen your requirements, and it looks very, very cool. So which really stands out for me was that you have extended time for this module 3, because usually it started in March and finishes in May in some centers, but you started it in February. Yes,
Yes.
it's nightmare. But we started in February, and it was super cool because we had 5 parts, yes, plus
Yeah.
bibliography, but the 5th part, you told us on our first lesson, like, don't be worried about it. It's just like a couple of sentences. So each of
Yeah, that was almost true.
yeah, almost. See, and then we decided to rewrite it a couple of times. But anyway,
Yes.
like each month, each part. So it was like very, very structured. Yeah, so talking about module 3, probably. So the question is, which I found a lot in Facebook groups, what are the most common reasons for module 3 assignments being referred or failed?
I would
So
say it's probably it's the most common reasons. I'll give you 2. First of all, it's lack of depth about the specialism. So let's say you decide to do teaching younger learners. It's a lack of research, or not necessarily research, because maybe you've done the research, but you're not articulating that in enough depth, as in at the beginning of the module 3, what is it about younger learners that really interests you, and what are the main issues with it, and why are those such big issues for younger learners classes? So it's not going into enough depth. In a way, more than that, what I've seen in a lot of examiners' reports and reports that, because what often happens with me, sorry, slight tangent, is that people get in touch with me and say they have been referred or they haven't passed module 3. Can I help them resubmit? And in fact, last year, I worked with a teacher. They're from South America. I worked with a teacher from South America, and they had actually not passed module 3 separate times. And they'd had reports back, they had resubmitted and it wasn't working. And they passed with me. And you know what it's like when, you in certain things in life, you can, as an external person, you can see what's going wrong, if you see what I mean. And with this teacher, it was a similar thing to a lot of candidates, is a lack of connection between the different parts of the module 3, because you've got for example, because you've got a needs analysis, you have a course design, you have assessment of your course. And if you're not collecting closely enough the course design with the needs analysis, it's just not going to work, because the course has got to be based around the needs of your students. So if you're coming up with stuff in course design, like, I'm going to use games in class because they're younger learners. Well, maybe they wrote in the needs analysis that they don't want games. Yeah. Maybe they haven't mentioned games in the needs analysis. So then why would you be doing that? It's just because they're younger learners isn't good enough for Cambridge. So that's what I would say. Lack of depth, lack of connection between the parts.
I was very worried about my work, actually. So, I mean, I knew that I would, but anyway, like anytime I'm worried because it's Cambridge, will they like my work or not? So it's a lot of stress, actually.
I love that. I'm worried because it's Cambridge.
It is Cambridge, because every time when we were going through the course, you told us, like, it's Cambridge. So, I mean, like, yeah. It's Cambridge. So you need to Cambridge. So
do what they say, yeah.
It is literally. So just open the handbook and do what they say, because even the word counts. So it's important. The everything is important. Okay, and talking about module 3, so you told about kind of the everything is connected, and I found a myth again. So you need to prove it or not, that module 3 is less stressful because there is no exam day pressure. So some people think that module 3 is chill module because there is no exam. You need to prove it or not. Is it really less pressure or just a different kind of pressure? When you start, so hold on. So I remember when people say
I was going to say, you should tell everybody. Yeah.
it is no pressure, because again, so I've taken the preparation with you, so everything was smooth because we had 4 months. It was great. But at the same time, there was like not pressure, but a little bit of stress, when I submit the work to you and you leave me comments, and I had screenshots of these comments. I was like, Eureka, no. So yeah, this is why it is a bit stressful for me. But how do you think? Is it really people feel less pressure after module 1? Because people definitely come from you after module 1, then okay, let's do module 3, and then I think they see different you, like, this is you module 1 tutor, this is module 3 tutor.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Did I say that to you, or have other people said that to you? You don't have to answer that question.
This is my vision of you,
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's very funny you said it, because I quite often say that to candidates, that it's a different kind of me as a tutor in module 3, because a lot of it is up to the candidate in terms of keeping up with the work. You remember when you did your CELTA, going back to CELTA again, and I remember when, I don't know if they still do this, you tell me, because you said you did it in 2024 and I did mine, a long time before that. Okay, sorry, 2019, and then, I beg your pardon. When I did mine, the first lesson that we did was the tutors saying to us, "This is amazing. You're a natural at this. This is really good." They said this to all the candidates, and apparently this is a very typical thing that happens. You've got to do this sort of positive, negative sandwich feedback thing that goes on. And then when you're into your second teaching practice, they're like, "Why are you doing it like this? This is not the way it should be," etc. You remember. Okay. Now, This is the thing. I know that with my first sessions with Module 3 with candidates, it is very challenging, Module 3. So what I try to do is be light about how doable it is, because it is very doable if, and it's such a cliche what I'm about to say, and it's what everyone's teachers said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But it is, because it's like from the beginning. I mean, I'm sure you'll agree, and if you're doing Module 3, you've really got to get in the first month part 1 nailed properly, because everything flows from part 1. And if you don't, then what you end up with is in month 4, before you're submitting, you're thinking, oh my God, I've just put this in part 5. And I realized that I should have changed that in part 1. So I'm going to have to change it in part 1, 2, 3, 4, and then make the change in part 5.
I remember your comment.
I reckon, right. So I reckon I'm going to agree with the final thing you put here, with that it's not less, it's a different kind. Definitely. But yeah, that's why it's really important from the beginning to be on the ball the whole time with it, and just keep, again, the same with Module 1, you know, if you're with a center, if you're with a tutor, basically do what you did, which is keep asking questions. It's seriously, it's really important. But it is important. Yeah.
Yes, and talking of the structure, the second miss which I found as well is that you can write the assignment in any order you like. It doesn't matter if the sections don't flow. So some teachers say it doesn't matter what order you write in M3, in as long as it is all there. So
have you really seen that? Wow.
Yeah, so it was a common question, like, you know what, I feel like, okay, I do not have okay, like, how do we call it, obsessive disorder in teaching, but sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe part 5 is the easiest one, so I will start from, you know, the bottom top method. Or then, okay, maybe I will start with the third one, needs analysis, and then needs analysis. Some people skip needs analysis, thinking that, okay, I will ask my students later, and then needs analysis completely changes everything. Yes. What do you think about this? Is it the same?
I think that the interesting thing is that it's all about the structure for Module 3. The short answer is no, I don't agree with that, about doing it in any order you like. Now, that's not to say that you can't go back and change things before you submit. In fact, you'll almost certainly have to, just because that's the nature of the beast. But no, doing it in any order you want, I would definitely do it one after the other, because I think you'd give yourself a real nightmare if, I don't know, you started like writing about, I'm just thinking, you know, the assessment in part 4, it's more or less impossible to do that, or part 3 about the course design, without having done a needs analysis. Otherwise, you've got no idea what students want. But your question is a really good one, because it was one of the problems I had when I did Module 3. I went into it knowing that I wanted to do dogma ELT, whether my students liked it or not. And I remember getting the report back from Cambridge saying, it's very clear that the candidate has gone into this with dogma ELT and Scott Thornbury in mind. And this is not the way around it works. It's like, right, I want to choose a specialism. And because of that, I'm coming up with the key problems in that specialism. And I'm doing, I shouldn't say problems, challenges, etc. I'm doing a needs analysis, and based on that, everything else comes from the needs analysis. So yeah, no, in short. I would think that's a bad idea. Unlike Module 1, where you can do different answers to the questions in different orders, that's much more flexible in that way.
I've also seen a comment like, you need to choose a specialism, which is common. So by common, they say a group or young learners, but not 101, or for example, like ESP. So something which Cambridge knows and knows how to react on that. So, I mean...
No, not true.
Okay. But sometimes, you know, sometimes people write strange comments, so that,
the thing is, they give you a list of specialisms. So,
meaning they know what to do.
Right. I mean, you know, this is Cambridge assessment. You know, I think we can safely assume that if they're giving you a list of specialisms, you can choose whichever one you want. And I know that there is a worry about there being a lack of literature sometimes about it. And yeah, okay, admittedly, I would say, sticking my neck out a bit, there probably is more literature about, I don't know, teaching younger learners or teaching exam classes than there is special requirements or language development for teachers or literacy needs or something like that. Maybe there is, but it doesn't mean that you can't very successfully create a very useful extended assignment that will get you a distinction for Module 3. It's really not about that. The bottom line with Module 3 is, in terms of choosing a specialism, something you love, because you've got to love it. You've got to love it, as you know, Elena, and something that you have some kind of experience with. It's not really the time to go choosing something that you've never done before. If you've never taught EAP, English for Academic Purposes, like training students on how to write at an academic level at university or something, because they're from another country, another discourse community where they don't have those norms, as it were, it's not the time to go doing that. It's not the time to go experimenting. That's what I would say.
Yeah, agree. And talking about the structure of the test, I do remember how you passed me back my work every time I submitted the first part. I was like, this one, no, this one, no. Sabrina, you need to write like the intro, and then one, remind me what we call it, like the first parts. I forgot. See, already. So like,
what, part one?
Yes. So there are kind
The
of
key issues.
yes. So like you need to write one key issue, and that is it. So let's summarize one key issue. I'm like, Alsa, I have 5. You need one.
Yeah.
You know? Yes, every time. So you referred it back. So saying like, okay, you need to redo it. And because we are about to wrap up the talk, so
Yeah.
the question for you, which I wanted to ask. So, what is one thing you wish every Delta candidate knew before starting?
That when people say it's difficult, don't take that so seriously.
Yeah,
Because yes, but when people say that, I think there's a certain kind of, how can I put this? Maybe people who've done it think that they're being helpful by saying that. Oh, be careful because, Delta. Oh. And the thing is, I really feel like, yeah, like you said, it's Cambridge. Therefore, it's challenging. The thing is, there is a feeling that they're trying to catch you out or they're trying to make it difficult for you. You're doing this because you want to develop something you already love doing. Otherwise, why would you be doing Delta? Otherwise, don't get me wrong, I realize there's extrinsic motivations. You're told by your job that you need to have module 1, for example. I get that, don't get me wrong. But that motivation shifts and you will end up enjoying it. You will end up enjoying it, whether you like it or not. But if and when people say it's tough or it's not that simple, I'm not saying ignore it, but I would say just do it. Just do it. You will love it. For me, it was one of the most challenging things I've ever done. And it's one of the things I've done which I've enjoyed the most as well. And then again, has also opened the most doors for me, professionally speaking, too. Just do it. Really. That's what I would say.
This is I enjoyed our module 3, and I told you like this was fun, and you're like, I don't believe
Yes.
this was really fun, like it was really fun. Like, yes, there was a bit of pressure, a bit of stress, but it's okay because of the preparation and the assignment. But overall, it was fun. I remember the humor, the jokes, the everything. So it was really, really awesome. And probably the last question for you: what motivates you to keep doing Delta Trainer every year? Twice a year?
Is working with people. That's what it is. Because it's one of the things that I wasn't expecting when I started CELTA, was connecting with students and with my colleagues and with my trainers as well. I thought, hang on a minute, this isn't just about, okay, everyone sit down, turn to page 42, present perfect simple is blah. I was enjoying it in a way that I didn't think it was about enjoying it. honestly, I didn't. I thought I want to do teaching because I think it's going to be a challenge for me. There's various other reasons. That's another story. But I genuinely didn't think I would enjoy the human connection as much as I did. I didn't think it was about that. And that's what I find with Delta. It's working out what works for you, because what worked for you, Irina, was different from what work with any of the other people on our course or any of my other private students from module 3. That's what it is. It's the same reason, one of the same reasons, I would say, that you probably teach, and that who anyone's watching this teaches as well. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, cool. Agree, completely agree. So I will leave the site here, and because we are going to finish this live conversation, I suppose that people were joining and leaving, so we are going to keep it recorded on the channel, and we can also share it, I hope, in our Facebook group as well. And if anybody has the questions, so they can leave them in the comments or basically write to you directly, I suppose, if you allow. So
Definitely, of course, with pleasure.
just go to Facebook chat, right? So there is chat
Yes.
and direct messages, or site as well. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you soon, I suppose.
Thank you so much. This is a great initiative that you started, by the way, Irina. It's going to be super helpful to have this space where people can talk